If you want the thrill of a thoroughbred sports car but don't want to sacrifice luxury or comfort, then the Jaguar XK is very hard to beat. Well, so long as you've got around £64,000 spare, although I have to say, the way it looks is probably worth the asking price alone because it's one of the most beautiful cars on the road. It's the same story here on the inside too. I mean, there's leather absolutely everywhere. I really like it when cars have it on the dash because it makes them feel really luxurious. And the design of the interior is very minimalistic because a lot of the car's controls are operated through this touchscreen. Speaking of which, standard equipment is extremely generous. You've got satellite navigation, dual zone climate control, a paddle shift gearbox, and also electric adjustment for the steering wheel and the seats, plus it's very easy to find an ideal driving position. As for practicality, well, this is a sports car, it's not an MPV, but the glove box, it's a decent size. You've got a couple of cup holders there, one for your grande latte, one for your Red Bull, and there's a little cubby under this armrest, but you know, who cares about that really? Let's fire this beast up. This particular car has a 5-litre V8 with 380 brake horsepower and can do 0 to 60 in just 5.2 seconds. But if that's not quick enough for you, there's a supercharged version which is even faster. Thankfully, the XK chassis can cope with all that power. I mean, it's really well balanced, there's loads of grip, and the steering, it's sharp and direct. And because the body is made out of lightweight aluminium, it's got a nice agile feeling to it. I mean, make no mistake, when you're really going for it, this car feels like a proper full-on sports car. But really, how often in this day and age do you actually get to experience the full potential of a car like this? And that's the beauty with the XK, you see, because it's delightful to drive whatever speed you're doing. For instance, we're in town now, so I'm going to put the gearbox into fully auto mode, and you know, it just slushes the ratios together nice and seamlessly. It's very silky smooth actually. And the suspension, it's got computer controlled dampers which constantly adjust to the road conditions, and it does a fantastic job of dealing with imperfections in the road. In the cabin, it's all nice and quiet and you feel insulated from the world outside. That said, when you're driving over rough surfaces, you do get a bit of tyre noise from those wide wheels, and that brings me on to the XK's bad points. I think one is the fact that while the cabin feels very upmarket, there are a few things that are a little bit on the cheap side, such as these buttons here. They're all a bit flimsy. Another problem is that while the XK may have some rear seats, they're rather useless for carrying people. If you bear with me, I'll show you what I mean. To tell you the truth, I am probably not the best person to demonstrate this because I'm about as supple as a sheet of glass, but anyway, I think almost every adult would find it really uncomfortable back here. I mean, I'm actually trapped in place. I don't think I could go more than a couple of 100 yards in the back without starting to cry with pain. And I don't actually think that it's really that good for children either. Overall, these seats are probably best just for carrying luggage, and you might need the extra space because while the boot does have quite a reasonable amount of space, the fact that it's quite shallow limits the type of luggage you can actually carry. And although this big tailgate gives you easy access to the boot, you've got to be very careful when opening it in tight spaces such as an underground car park so you don't bash it on the ceiling. And finally, there's the fact that the XK is rather thirsty, but then what did you expect from a V8 powered sports car? And anyway, if you can afford to buy one in the first place, then you can probably afford to run one too. And if you are one of those lucky people, I can guarantee you won't be disappointed.